Rose will be filling in the bulk of my show as we're up here catching some great hockey action. The Preds are coming into tonight's contest with a 33-12-9 record, and St. Louis with a 34-21-3 record. It's an important game for the Preds as they push on toward the playoffs. The Preds have a 2.5 game lead over the Blues, and so if they can get a victory tonight over the Blues, that will extend that to 4.5 to 5 game lead over the Blues in the standings in the NHL. Peter Laviolette and his staff are been preparing the team for action here tonight, and it's expected to see a lot of action with Nick Bonino, Phil Forsberg, and PK Subban with Pekka Rinne in front of the net tonight for the Preds. Beautiful arena. If you've never been to Bridgestone Arena here in Nashville, it's only my second time here, and it's a beautiful complex. And everything that you can find interesting about hockey in Nashville, you can find it here within the inner sanctum of Bridgestone Arena. As it's an exciting time. It's almost like going to a football game for a tailgate with everything going on, pregame activities and stuff, in the concourse areas here at Bridgestone Arena. But it's going to be the Preds and the Blues tonight. Should be an exciting contest, and we'll check in on occasion throughout the clutch with Keon Rose's show that comes up in the 8 o'clock hour. The game is set for an 8 p.m. Eastern start or 7 p.m. Central Time start. So we'll check back in during Keon's show. But for the meantime, from Bridgestone Arena here in Nashville, going to send it back down to Chattanooga and Keon Rose. Thanks, Keon, for filling in.
Thank you, Sam, for the update. Sam Jordan is live in Bridgestone Arena watching the Nashville Predators, and he was kind and gracious enough to give us an update on the importance of this game. The Predators playing the St. Louis Blues. They need to win tonight to extend their lead, to hold on to their lead. I believe they're in third place in the West. So for this game is important. It's a huge game. And Sam Jordan will be dropping in both in, well, not in this show because the game doesn't start until after my show starts, but he'll be dropping in periodically to give us an update on the game, to let us know exactly what it is that's happening, because this is how things work here. Even when you try to watch sports to relax, we turn it into your job. Just when you thought you were getting out, we're pulling you back in. Clutch with Keon Rose. Well, no. Sport Talk with Sam Jordan. Keon Rose filling in. Clutch with Keon Rose after this. So if you miss Sam Jordan, check us out on YouTube, by the way. We're on YouTube. We're on social media platforms in order to give you multiple avenues to listen to this station. This is all new, Nooga Radio at noogaradio.com, because we are online. 92.7 FM. Johnny Manziel is a story, but he's not a negative story, right? At least not right now. Johnny Manziel is the guy that's pretty much fueled sports talk radio and fueled columns with negative press. He's that guy. He is, at least in college, was very talented. And I don't know if Johnny Manziel's talented anymore. But Johnny Manziel played at Texas A&M and did not seem to have an appreciation for the game that made him famous, right? Johnny Football didn't seem to have the appreciation and respect for that game. And we know this because of how he behaved when he had an opportunity to be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, when they were arguably not as bad as they are now, right? I mean, they've always been bad, but they were vaguely better then. He had an opportunity to do something, an opportunity to show what he could do in the NFL, and he didn't take it seriously, and he partied, and he wasn't in his playbook, and he got cut by the Browns. And I didn't think after that point that a Johnny Manziel return was likely. He kept saying it was. He kept pointing out that that was the case. But just because you want to come back doesn't mean anybody wants you back. And Johnny Manziel proved that he didn't take any of this stuff seriously. Now, Johnny Manziel has been diagnosed officially with bipolar disorder. And bipolar disorder makes you do a lot of wild things, a lot of it not necessarily your fault, right? Just the imbalances in your brain. You perceive the world in a way that causes you to behave in an antisocial manner, let's say, in a way that doesn't fit in with the rest of society. And so some of the things that Johnny Manziel did, I think, could be linked back to his disorder. But there are some things that he did and said that you can't let him come back, just offer him a job back if he's not serious. This is something that there's millions of dollars on the line. You can't just offer somebody a job back that costs millions where you can get fired over it if they're not completely serious and 100% committed to it. And Johnny Manziel said a lot of great things. He did. He talked about how he didn't have love for the game and how he plans on being more dedicated in the future. He talked about that, right? And I think that's huge for him. But here's the thing with Johnny Manziel. He's got a target on his back, and he put it there. If Johnny Manziel slips up for a second, right? If Johnny Manziel doesn't do everything that he's supposed to do, doesn't live up to what he could be, there's going to be another story about him, and then this ride's over. Johnny Manziel, by the way, has promised us change before, right? He was, when he got a chance to start for the Browns, and he played a few games, and he still partied and didn't take anything seriously, he did get a second shot before they cut him, where, unsurprisingly, he partied around, didn't take things seriously. So we've already had one of these with him. If he slips up for a second, the ride ends. Right? It's going to be another story of there's Johnny Manziel acting like a jackwagon again. There's Johnny Manziel acting like a goof again. And he's not going to get another chance. He's gotten more chances than a lot of guys usually do. He's gotten a lot more chances. And this is a guy that was not taking the game seriously at all. Johnny Manziel may be restarting his football career, probably in the Canadian Football League, because that seems to be the best. I would say that would be the best place to go. I would like to see Johnny Manziel in the XFL, personally, when that gets revived. But if he's serious about coming back to football, Johnny Manziel misses a meeting. Johnny Manziel gets into an altercation with a teammate. Johnny Manziel is seen at a party during the season, and the ride ends, and it ends right there because your reputation precedes you. This is the case in sports, but this is also the case everywhere else. You get known in different situations as being that guy, and nobody wants to be that guy. And if you, depending on the situation, if you can't find that guy, I mean, you're probably that guy. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com. Clutch with Keon Rose. So, I want to shift gears to the NBA here because Isaiah Thomas does not like LeBron James. The recently traded Isaiah Thomas. He doesn't like LeBron. And this is a story of a lot of people with LeBron. This was actually Kyrie's story with LeBron. I feel like we should go ahead and at least exonerate Kyrie on this a little bit. Because Kyrie Irving did not want to be treated like a child. And LeBron James has a tendency, in large part because he is LeBron James and he has reached a level of greatness that most people never get to reach, treated him like a child. And he treated Isaiah Thomas like a child. Now, Isaiah Thomas is older than Kyrie. Isaiah Thomas is closer to LeBron's age than Kyrie is. Isaiah Thomas is not a kid. Isaiah Thomas is married. Isaiah Thomas has kids. Isaiah Thomas does not want to be treated like a child. And I remember when Isaiah first got to Cleveland earlier in the season, they were a little bit buddy-buddy, Isaiah and LeBron. But after a while, you didn't hear about Isaiah and LeBron ever again. That wasn't important because, Isaiah Thomas wasn't really playing But LeBron has a way of treating people poorly, and according to a Chris Broussard source, and so take that with the grain of salt that is required, Isaiah Thomas was being talked down to by LeBron James. Like LeBron would talk down to him, and that's not surprising, right? Like that can't possibly be surprising. LeBron James is the guy that will talk down to you. He's perfectly capable of doing that, and he's not just the guy that will talk down to you. LeBron James is a high-maintenance diva, right? And the reason why LeBron James gets to be a high-maintenance diva and is allowed to continuously be a high-maintenance diva is because LeBron James wins, and LeBron James wins lots, right? Like that's just what he does. And so he gets away with things that most people don't get away with. But man, if LeBron James were your teammate, you wouldn't like him that much. Not really. Like if you had a coworker who maybe is better at their job, right? I don't know what your job is. But you have a coworker, they're better at their job. But you're on the same level, right? Like you're both employees. He's not the coach, too. Isn't that weird when people talk down to you? Is that not fun? I don't think that's fun. That doesn't strike me as fun. I don't like it when people do it to me. I can entirely forgive Kyrie for not wanting it to happen to him. And I completely understand Isaiah for not wanting it to happen to him. And I think that the reason why the Cavs actually wound up getting such a good deal in their trade with the Lakers is because Jordan Clarkson is actually a kid when compared to LeBron James. And it makes sense for LeBron James to talk down to him, to treat him like someone he should mentor, right? Nobody wants to be little brothered when you're the same age as somebody, right? Like even when you're not the same age, if you're pretty close, it stinks. It's just a weird vibe and an odd feeling. Nobody wants to be little brother in that way. And LeBron does that to people all the time. Now, Isaiah Thomas came out of practice and said, hey, he came out of Lakers practice and he said, this is the first real practice I've been to all year. Now, that's a different story, right? That's the story of you might have a malevolent thought. You might think that LeBron James is a jerk for talking down to you. You think it, but you don't say it. It's the beauty of America. You can think whatever you want. You can be entirely wrong and think whatever you want. It's the beauty of America. But you don't always have to say it. Now, you can say whatever you want in America too, right? Because free speech is protected. But understand there are consequences to the things that you say. Always. I mean, that's just a fact. I don't feel like I'm stating anything that you didn't already know. If you say stuff, there are consequences. Right? And I think that that's fair. You shouldn't have consequence-free speech. Free speech, yes. But I'm on the air right now. There are words that I cannot say on the air. There are things that I cannot say. And then there are things that this radio station doesn't believe in. And I have to go, well, what are my boss's guidelines on this? What does he not like? And so I have to work within that frame as well. And then there are societal things. What can I say that'll make society better? What can I say that'll make people interested and engaged in listening? And if I don't say those things, there are consequences. And if I say something awful and weird and strange, there are consequences to those words. And so Isaiah Thomas has come out and he says, hey, this is the first real practice I've had all year. In a very passive-aggressive backhanded shot at LeBron James, which he should be used to by now, because he's the king of the passive-aggressive backhanded shot. But there are going to be consequences to that. You're a free agent this year. You're looking at your money. Who wants to be the teammate of a guy who is so petty he cannot wait until he gets paid first? Nobody. Isaiah Thomas is going to find that there are consequences to the thing that he just said. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sport Talk with Sam Jordan. All new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. Keon Rose filling in for Sam Jordan. Speaking of people who are saying things that maybe they shouldn't say, Barstool Sports, they had Barstool Sports Radio. They launched another show on XM Radio, and interesting turn of events there, right? You had, I think, the show with Dallas Braden. What's that guy's name? They launched the show, and it's the second episode of Dialed In with Dallas Braden is the show. And the second episode of the show, they were talking about Chloe Kim in the Olympics. Chloe Kim is the young Olympic snowboarder that went out, absolutely kicked butt in the Olympics yesterday. And it got very problematic on the show. Because when you talk about the absolute sexism sometimes, and that just circles around sports talk radio, Barstool Radio referred to Chloe Kim, who is 17 years old, by the way, as a little hot piece of ass. And I'm not sure who thought that was a good idea. And nobody thought that was problematic or weird, which is what happens when you have a radio show of a bunch of dudes just sitting down talking about stuff. You can't. She went out there. She won an Olympic gold medal, right? She's a gold medalist, which makes her, if you are a sports talk radio host, it makes her immediately more prestigious than you, right? Unless you've been one of these sports broadcasters that's been doing it for 60 years, immediately at the age of 17, she's got more prestige than you because she's a gold medalist. Maybe talk about her with a little bit more respect than that, right? The fact that for whatever reason you find her attractive, maybe don't say that out loud, right? Again, the beauty of America. You can think whatever you want. And there are almost no consequences for thinking whatever you want. I mean, there are eventually, but just having the thought, no. But saying stuff, you can't say whatever you want without consequences, right? You can say whatever you want, but there are always consequences to saying whatever you want. And in this particular case, because it wasn't Dallas Braden that said it, but man, he didn't shut it down. It was his co-host Connor. In this case, Connor, you come across as a very creepy old man. Like, what are you, 40? Turn it down, man. Dial it back a little bit. What I'm saying is, think it, but then don't say it. And if you have to say it, try not to say it on the air, right? That seems fair. That to me makes a lot of sense. You just can't do that. She's 17, man. That is not the way to talk about a gold medalist, and there is no other gold medalist that you would speak about in that manner, right? And this isn't even like one of those things where it's like you could, like, I'm not saying it's okay to talk about Lindsey Vonn in this way, but Lindsey Vonn is also a model, so at least there's some idea that Lindsey Vonn is putting her body out there. They made the joke about the countdown to Chloe Kim's 18th birthday, and then made the joke about high school girls from Dazed and Confused. It was just a bad bit. It was a bad segment that fell apart. I have a lot of sympathy for people who are on the radio because you say words and you have to say stuff, right? Like, if you don't, there's just silence, and nobody wants silence. You get fired over silence. You have to say stuff, and so sometimes you just say nonsense in order to fill space. But that is not the nonsense that you say. And I feel like there's a certain level of self-awareness that we ought to expect from you, that we ought to look at you and know that you should have for you to be on the air. There's of course going to be backlash to this. You just sexualized a 17-year-old girl who has accomplished more in her short life than you maybe ever will. Or me, by the way. I'm not, levitating above everybody else, but you gotta be kidding me. Have some constraint. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM Sport Talk with Sam Jordan. Keon Rose filling in for Sam Jordan, who is live at Bridgestone Arena covering the Nashville Predators tonight. He'll drop a line in later to let us know how that game's going. It's an important game for the Preds.
Chattanooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
New details about a crash from Sunday. An Amish buggy and an ATV collided, injuring 8 people, including several children, according to the Sequatchie County Sheriff's Office. Initial reports say the ATV crashed into that horse-drawn buggy at about 6:30 p.m. Sequatchie County Sheriff confirmed several children were hurt. After shooting on South Seminole, the police found their suspect in a wrecked car several blocks away, suffering a head injury. He was taken to the hospital. Cops say they found a revolver and a bloody T-shirt in the back seat. The victim expected to survive. A man was driving down Leggett Road and Highway 27 when he says a driver rammed him from behind multiple times. He called 911 and deputies rushed to the area. They pulled them both over and took the man into custody, who they say was drunk. Deputies say nobody was hurt, but photos show the front of the man's car with the radiator exposed and the front grille buckled in. Russell Stroud, Radio News, now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Front and Foul, weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Mom's Coupon, her exercise bike, her bookcase of cheap novels, Mom's estate. Oh, just call Dan. He'll sort, organize, clear out, tag, sell, and in a few days, hand you a nice check. 314-4034. 314-4034.
Oh, man, rush. I've got to get stuff for the party. Where can I go? It's going to give me a wide selection of beer, wines, and spirits. Oh, I got it. I'll go to Harry's Wine and Spirits, Signal Mountain. Maybe East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd. I could go to Riley's Wines and Spirits in Hickson. Wow, look at the huge selection in here. Look at these great prices. Amazing. Oh, yeah. I'm going to find something from my lady, too. I'm going to make this party a success.
Make your party a success when you stop in at Harry's Wine and Spirits in Signal Mountain, East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd, and Riley's Wine and Spirits in Hickson. An automated nuclear missile defense system has suddenly entered into launch mode, and you are the only one who can stop it. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Your team has just been infected with a deadly virus. Your only hope? There, in an abandoned farmhouse. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Handcuffed in a maximum security prison, you have an hour to flee. Escape Experience Chattanooga. These escape scenarios and more at Chattanooga's best escape room, game, and team building platform. Call now. Slots are limited. Register online at escapeexperience.com/Chattanooga. Escape Experience Chattanooga.
$25 goes by quickly these days, and 25 cents still just a quarter. 25 is the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates.
Hi, I'm Chip Chapman. The IRS set some special dates this year regarding filing your taxes. It all may make filing a little more confusing this year. The professionals at Schultz & Associates can answer your questions about multiple incomes, income from rental property, special circumstances involving your children or family. Call Schultz & Associates 899-1130 and arrange an appointment to work out the details of your tax return. Schultz & Associates, 6310 Bonnie Oaks Drive.
Baseball sluggers often wear the number 25, or 25 is a full MLB roster. Just happens 25 is also the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates, 899-1130.
Traffic, news, and information. Nooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair to partly cloudy skies to continue through your nighttime. Cold overnight, lows mid and upper 20s. Now for your Wednesday, look for some sunshine with a breeze out of the north, though. Light cold highs still around 40 with more mainly dry and cold weather expected through Friday. Celebrate the new year with Dixieland Fireworks, locally owned with the largest selection around. A Black Hat dealer with the lowest prices in Dixieland Fireworks, just off 575 on Ringgold Road, East Ridge. And I'm Sworn Team 12, Chief Meteorologist, Patrick Core.
Nooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. News Talk Nooga Radio. It's the moment you've been waiting for. Sam Jordan's Nooga Radio, 92.7 Sports. Now.
Correction, though, not Sam Jordan. You're listening to Sport Talk with Sam Jordan, with Keon Rose filling in for Sam Jordan. So, you know, it's sort of like aspartame filling in for sugar in your Diet Coke, which a lot of people drink. The point is, we talked a lot yesterday on my show about how the SEC is having a fantastic basketball year. SEC basketball has never been so good to watch, right? And which is good for me because I am forced to watch a lot of SEC basketball. So when it's good, I'm good because then I'm not watching bad basketball and wasting my nights away. But this does come with a bit of disclaimer, right? The cream, as it were, has risen to the top. The rising tide has lifted all the ships. What I'm saying is the entire SEC has gotten better, but Kentucky hasn't, right? And Kentucky has always been the team that is the leader of these things. Kentucky's always been the class of the SEC. Kentucky might not make the tournament right now. I think that they will, and I suspect that they will, in large part because Kentucky is the kind of school that has a level of prestige to it. When you look at the top 25 rankings, the Associated Press rankings, Kansas is rated very high, and in fact above, I think, even Auburn. I don't know exactly where Kansas is rated, but they're rated pretty high and above most SEC schools, even though you could make the strong argument that they don't deserve that. But Kansas is there on reputation. Kansas has been good, and Bill Self and Kansas have been good for so long that, yeah, why not? Why not believe that if you let Kansas make it into the tournament, that team can go on a run? And I think that you've got to give John Calipari and you've got to give Kentucky that same treatment, in large part because, A, it seems like they're starting to sort themselves out here. But B, that's kind of how the game gets played. I mean, it's fair or not fair, rightly or wrongly. We do this a lot on the reputation of what we believe certain teams are capable of and certain coaches are capable of. John Calipari ought to have proven by now that he's capable of a lot. But that being said, this team might not make it. Because when you look at all the teams that are playing better basketball than Kentucky, that's all the good SEC teams. As I mentioned, there's 8 or 9 of them. Auburn is, Tennessee is, Texas A&M is lately. Started off the season slow, but they had suspensions and injuries. Now that they're getting these guys back, I know Kentucky's not better than A&M. Right? Like even LSU, who's not better than Kentucky, can put up a fight against Kentucky. This is not the best Kentucky team we've ever seen. The question is, does this hurt Kentucky and does this hurt John Calipari in any way? What does this do to Big Blue if Kentucky somehow misses an NCAA tournament? Because I can't even remember the last time John Calipari actually missed one. Right. I can't. That guy's been money. And when it comes to finding the best players and recruits, then I just feel like the rest of the league is caught up. The rest of the league is caught up. I mean, you do not want to be, if you are Kentucky, in the NIT. And now they're a bubble team. And they're going to have to go to the SEC tournament coming up here in March. I believe March 7th is the first day of the SEC tournament. They're going to have to go to the SEC tournament and really show out and maybe make it to the semifinal or the final of the SEC tournament to get in. Because I don't see any other way. Which means they're going to have to figure this out. All of their weaknesses, this defense that they don't play all the time, that they sometimes play, they can't have this. It really can't work. I mean, it's not really acceptable. And I don't know how you sort it out because I think that he's doing the best that he can. John Calipari is. But Tennessee basketball looks like what John Calipari actually wants from his team. The difference is Rick Barnes didn't build his team with a bunch of one and dones. Rick Barnes built his team with some veteran talent. He's returned a lot of players. His team is not young. John Calipari might have doubled down on the one and done thing maybe a little bit too much. And the reason why I say that is because John Calipari has acknowledged, by the way, that this is the youngest team that he has actually coached. He's never coached a team younger than this one, which is mind-boggling because John Calipari looks like he's always coached the youngest teams that are currently playing basketball, right? Bunch of 18-year-olds, bunch of 19-year-olds, but no, John Calipari's got a bunch of 17-year-olds too, and they're starters on his team, and he set his team up this way. And John Calipari, I feel like, and the reason why I believe he's doubled down on this maybe a little too far is this. The John Calipari has always said the thing that feels good for him is not winning a title. It's getting guys into the NBA. And I think that there's a little bit of bogus coach speak in that. Right? I don't believe that John Calipari is more excited about getting guys into the NBA than winning a title, especially since you can do both. You can win a title and get those guys into the NBA. But that's what he said. That's his line. But if that's actually the case, then no one is to blame but John Calipari of putting himself in this actual position where he's been largely responsible for why his teams don't develop from year to year. There is no other team where you have 5 starters and you lose basically all of them, right? Even Coach K and Duke, who have embraced the one and done mentality, still have players on their roster, players that start, right, like Grayson Allen, who can't stop tripping people because he's a bad person. But never mind that. They start on the team because they're seniors, they're juniors, they're experienced upperclassmen, which you need to win basketball games in the tournament. And I don't think that John Calipari has ever needed that to win the SEC before. But he's going to need it now. And this problem that he has right now doesn't get better. Doesn't get better, especially since you have to consider that John Calipari isn't the most tactically brilliant coach. He's smart, and he knows more basketball than me. But among his peers, you think John Calipari is the most brilliant guy of the guys coaching in the SEC? I don't think so. So where do you go from there? But John Calipari can't back off of one and done now. He's essentially made his entire career on it. This is it. The buck stops there for him. There's a bunch of problematic questions. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio at NoogaRadio.com. You're on 92.7 FM, Sport Talk with Sam Jordan. Keon Rose filling in for Sam Jordan. My show, Clutch with Keon Rose, will be coming on after this. So I'm doing double duty. Sam Jordan, who does this show, he is live at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. He's watching the Predators. He will actually call back during my show to give us an update on how the Predators are doing. They're playing the St. Louis Blues. They're third in the standings. The Blues are fourth, and they're trying to hold off the Blues because you'd like higher playoff seeding. The Predators are looking to keep St. Louis at bay, right? Trying and widen that gap that they've got in the standings. So Sam Jordan's going to call and give us an update on how the game is going because it is an important game. I believe Pecorino actually had the goalie. He had a brilliant game the other day. I believe I was told he had 49 saves. I wasn't able to watch the game myself, but my goodness, that guy's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So we're going to get an update from Sam Jordan later. You're listening to Sport Talk with Sam Jordan. I like looking at gambling odds, which might lead you to believe that I am a gambling degenerate. I am not, but I do find it very interesting, the habits of gambling degenerates and the things that gambling degenerates will actually bet on. And I'm starting to think that this might be a segment in my show. I'm trying to figure out what to call it. and then I will introduce it into the show, because I look at the sports book sometimes and I am baffled. I look at them and I go, how many gambling degenerates does there have to be for there to even be odds on this thing? And I have a thing that there are odds on that I actually cannot believe. But let me set this up for you. So the NBA All-Star Game is coming soon, right? And the NBA changed their format for the All-Star Game. Previously, the best players in the Eastern Conference would play on one team. The best players in the Western Conference would play on the other team. And then they battle it out. Well, there's a problem there, which is that the West is way, 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 way better than the East by a lot, by such a massive margin. The games were not entertaining. They were always lopsided. The West always wins. And on top of it, you have a bunch of guys in the West that can't make the All-Star game because the Western team is loaded. And you got a bunch of guys in the East who don't deserve to be in the All-Star game, but the East has got nobody. So they make the game. So the NBA's changed their format. The number 1 and number 2 vote getters in the league will pick the players to be in the All-Star game. The number 1 and number 2 vote getters for the All-Star game were LeBron James and, unsurprisingly, Steph Curry, right? Like, those are the two guys. They're the two most popular basketball players in America. This makes absolute perfect sense to everyone. Here's the thing. Kevin Durant, who was Steph Curry's teammate, is not on Steph Curry's team. LeBron picked him. LeBron got to pick Kevin Durant before Steph got to pick Kevin Durant. And so there are betting odds on how Steph and KD will greet one another before the All-Star game. And there are 75-1 odds, according to one Vegas sportsbook, that Kevin Durant and Steph Curry kiss each other as a greeting before the start of the All-Star game, which I can promise you 100% is not happening. Where did that come from? Who thought that that was going to be in 2018? That was going to be it? Now, I understand that there used to be like no shame in people being close. Back in the 80s, I remember watching the documentary about the Bad Boys Pistons, which is one of the best 30 for 30s that ESPN has ever done, to be honest with you. And yeah, Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas, they greeted each other with a kiss before the game. And I don't know, to people in the 80s, that did not come off as particularly weird. Even when I was watching the documentary, the guys that were alive there, that were watching that game and watching the NBA Finals, did not talk about that moment like it was particularly strange. But I can tell you something, though, using my modern cultural sensibilities. In 2018, that would come across as absolutely weird. I'm not saying, I'm not making a judgment on it either way. I'm just saying 2018, that's not going to go over without some form of commentary, right? And by commentary, I mean the absolute eruption and then implosion of Twitter. It's going to be the trending topic. And I feel like 75-1 odds, that's kind of low. Right? Have you even seen Kevin Durant and Steph Curry hug it out when they're on the same team and they win? How is 75-1 in, like, that's actually possible? Like, if you told me to meet you at a location because there are 75-1 odds if you had $1 million for me, I would absolutely show up. I don't care how far away it is. 75-1, that's very possible. That's too possible. Who's betting on this? How are there enough people gambling on this to make those actual odds that a sportsbook had to dream up? I'm curious. I actually am curious. I don't know. 75-1. Boy, that seems rather low. That's all I'm saying. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Sport Talk with Sam Jordan, Keon Rose filling in for Sam Jordan. Adrian Broner, the boxer, who many of you probably do not know because boxing is a dying sport that only I like, apparently. But Adrian Broner was in Atlanta, which is down the road from here, 2 hours away. And Adrian Broner was arrested for sexual assault in a shopping mall where he was seen antagonizing someone. Now, I saw the cell phone videos because TMZ does this very well. They'll buy a number of cell phone videos and then put the cell phone videos together so that you have multiple camera angles. It's a little creepy, actually, to be honest, that they're capable of doing that with that level of accuracy. But this is 2018. This is the world that we live in now. Everybody's watching you. Everybody. And Adrian Broner should have known better because in Atlanta, literally everybody is watching you. And there's usually, if there's some kind of altercation, somebody's watching you and there's another guy in the background going, world star, like don't do that. Don't have altercations in the shopping mall. But I believe he hits a woman, which is already just scumbag levels through the roof. But it's also a lack of self-control. And it's also curious to me because a bunch of people stood around and made cell phone videos of an altercation. And I understand that Adrian Broner is a boxer, right? And maybe Adrian Broner might punch you in the face. And that might not be fun. But I don't know. You see a guy messing with a woman, and your first instinct is, let me make this video real quick to see if I can sell it off to TMZ later. You're a bad person. You're not as bad as he is, but you're close and almost as useless. You didn't help her at all. Like, I didn't see anybody move to help her out. Right? Like, Adrian Broner, by the way, is a really good boxer. Like, I like him as a boxer. But this is bad. This is bad news. You can't treat people like that. You certainly can't treat women that way. That's. I know your parents didn't raise you to do that, right? And it's not something that is. There are athletes that are not capable of like controlling their rage properly. Boxers are one. Some of them, not all of them, but football players too, right? Like we do see the number of altercations involving football players that this seems to have some level of impact on, in large part because you're paid to be an aggressive person. Like that's your job, is to hit people. Pretty much every solution that you can solve, you hit a person to solve it, generally speaking. So I don't know what you do about this, but I do know that if you are one of the people around and Adrian Broner is in the mall and he is having this massive altercation with a woman or anybody really, don't stand there and make a cell phone video. You say something. Call the police. Do that with your phone. Instead, we have 16 angles of this video, which is so stupid. Like nobody stepped up to help at all. I just find that to be absolutely weird. It's like the most American thing that I've ever seen happen. I've never seen this happen before. You're listening to 92.7 FM, all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com. The NHL, by the way, has received the application, the expansion application of Seattle. Seattle wants an NHL team. So they put the application in. I don't know if they'll get the NHL team, but that would be cool to have hockey in Seattle. And the reason why, and this is completely self-serving because I actually don't care about whether or not there's hockey in Seattle, but I want basketball to be back in Seattle. And that might be the first pillar to go. Like if you can support an NHL team, you can support an NBA team. It seems simple enough. You can support an NBA team, and then we'll have the Seattle Supersonics again. Right? Like we got the Charlotte Hornets back. Anything is possible. We got the Hornets back, right? We got the Nationals back in baseball. I want the Supersonics back in basketball. I want them back. They're part of my childhood. I remember those jerseys and uniforms. I have a Ray Allen card where he's in the Seattle Supersonics uniform. I want that team back. And if I have to go through the NHL to get it, well, then I'll go through the NHL to get it. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Stick around. Clutch with Keon Rose is coming up. I'm Keon Rose filling in for Sam Jordan here on Sport Talk with Sam Jordan. Sam Jordan, by the way, will drop a line in the next hour to let us know how the Nashville Predators are doing in Bridgestone Arena as they try to hold off the St. Louis Blues.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM. Chattanooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news. Now.
A man was driving down Lincoln Road and Highway 27 when he says a driver rammed him from behind multiple times. He called 911 and deputies rushed to the area. They pulled them both over and took the man into custody, who they say was drunk. Deputies say nobody was hurt, but photos show the front of the man's car with the radiator exposed and the front grille buckled in. New details about a crash from Sunday. An Amish buggy and an ATV collided, injuring 8 people, including several children, according to the Sequatchie County Sheriff's Office. Initial reports say the ATV crashed into that horse-drawn buggy at about 6:30 p.m. Sequatchie County Sheriff confirmed several children were hurt. After shooting on South Seminole, the police found their suspect in a wrecked car several blocks away, suffering a head injury. He was taken to the hospital. Cops say they found a revolver and a bloody T-shirt in the back seat. The victim expected to survive. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
Broadcasting live to over 1 million souls in Chattanooga, the Tennessee Valley, and beyond on frequency modulation 92.7. Sean Hannity, 25,000 watts on digital FM 95.3 HD4. CBS Radio News, NASCAR, Bloomberg Markets, David Tulis, streaming strong at NoogaRadio.com. Live on YouTube and Facebook. Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7. Chattanooga Radio.
At Christian Brothers, $34.95 will get you an oil change and a free car wash. That's Christian Brothers Automotive in Hickson. Is your car broken down or about to be? Well, who do you trust? Don't go any farther than Christian Brothers Automotive in Hickson. It's all about trust. It's all about relationship. At Christian Brothers Automotive, no more waiting around. Take advantage of the free shuttle service from Christian Brothers Automotive with only quality auto parts. No cutting corners at Christian Brothers Automotive in Hickson. And remember, an oil change is only $34.95 and you get a free car wash.
This year, make Valentine's special. It's been a tough year for her, so make it up to her. To help you do that, Goss Company Jewelers is the place to go. Goss Company Jewelers, what makes it simple for you? Diamond stud earrings, rings, hoops, necklaces. Go now. Let Charlie Goss take care of you today. Custom diamond studs start at under $200. That's 30% off. Goss Company Jewelers behind Chili's on Gun Barrel Road. Goss Company Jewelers, the perfect gift.
Pulse Centers of Chattanooga offers non-medical solutions to your body's problems using a state-of-the-art technology called pulsed electromagnetic fields, PEMF for short. We help fuel the body's natural healing response. If you're tired of taking harmful, addictive drugs that only dull your pain and cause awful side effects, the knowledgeable, friendly staff at Pulse Centers can help you end that cycle.
Call to schedule a free whole body assessment at 423-771-7755. That's 423-771-7755.
Smells so good, like one big Italian dinner. Well, you're going to walk away with two pizzas for the price of one lunch. Rico's Pizzeria, my favorite Italian restaurant of all time. You get so much food on your plate, it's like taller than the Tower of Pisa, or wider than your mama. Rico's Italian restaurant and pizzeria. Hicks and Pike next to McDonald's, front of Cavalry Chapel. $7.50 lunch on Sunday special. Mangia, saluta.
95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM.
It's been lots of clouds for your nighttime. Not as cool, lows into the mid-number 40s. For Wednesday, showers will move back in from the west. A wet afternoon, highs into the upper 50s. After a wet start, a little drier and much warmer later Thursday. Highs 70 to 72. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see what more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevy Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Sortine Paul. She's been here all the time before.
So guess what is Nooga Radio? Nooga Radio is all news and talk. Nooga Radio is all news in the morning. Local, regional, national, and international news. Featuring our veteran news director, Russell Stroud. Exclusive CBS radio news. And America's first news. Nooga Radio in the morning, 6 to 9. All news. Nooga Radio is in-depth reporting of local news, information, and events that are unique and important to you. Join David Tulis 9 to 11 with coverage that's exclusive. A 25-year media veteran. David Tulis 9 to 11. Nooga Radio is all local news from noon to 1, and Bloomberg reports 1 to 3. Nooga Radio is Sean Hannity, 3 to 6 weekdays. Sports Talk with Sam Jordan at 6, and Clutch with Keon Rose at 7. Nooga Radio is Alex Jones, Ground Zero and Coast to Coast AM at night. Plus up-to-the-minute traffic and weather. Nooga Radio is NASCAR on the weekends. Nooga Radio is what's important to you in Chattanooga. Nooga Radio is Chattanooga Radio. Yeah, that's Nooga Radio.
Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Very powers around the outside. Michael McDowell puts the right front tire.
WBLZHD4 224AZ Chattanooga.
92.7 Digital FM 95.3 HD4 Chattanooga.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Grasshopper.
I'm Pam Coulter. Authorities say they are assisting 4 hikers stranded on Oregon's Mount Hood to safety. 3 others are making their way safely down the mountain on their own. CBS's Danielle Nottingham.
Help finally arrived from the Oregon Army National Guard. A medic was lowered to the scene from a helicopter, and shortly after, a stretcher followed. The injured hiker was hoisted up to the chopper. 4 other climbers got stuck on Hogsback at an altitude of 9,800 feet.
We don't know the severity of the injuries. We do know that ice and rock are falling on them.
It's been sunny for the past few days, which officials say contributed to the snow and ice melting. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News.
The hiker who had fallen up to 1,000 feet has died. White House officials say the background investigation of former Staff Secretary Rob Porter was ongoing when he left amid domestic abuse allegations, but that's not what FBI Director Christopher Wray told the Senate panel today.
We did the follow-up and provided that information in November, and that we administratively closed the file in January. And then earlier this month, we received some additional information, and we passed that on as well.
3 of the nation's top intelligence officials told Congress Russia is already trying to meddle in this year's elections. CBS's Paula Reed.
All of the intelligence chiefs, there was a broad consensus that yes, Russia did meddle in the 2016 election, and they absolutely expect them to do the same thing in upcoming elections. That, of course, begs the question is how do you prevent that if the president of the United States will not actually acknowledge that it happened?
Defense Secretary James Mattis met with his counterparts from several countries in Rome to discuss what to do about the hundreds of detained ISIS fighters in Syria.
We're gathering up hundreds now of detainees.
On a flight to Brussels, Defense Secretary James Mattis called it an international problem. These foreign fighters are battle-hardened.
The important thing is that the countries of origin keep responsibility for them. How they carry out that responsibility, there's a dozen different diplomatic, legal, or whatever ways, I suppose. But the bottom line is we don't want them going back on the street.
While he wouldn't rule in or out the detention facility at Guantanamo, Mattis said doing nothing is not an option. Cammie McCormick, CBS News, Brussels.
With Takata in bankruptcy proceedings, 13 automakers will contribute up to $130 million to compensate those injured by exploding airbags, according to an attorney for plaintiffs. The Dow up 39 points today. This is CBS News.
Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. Turn your mobile phone into a business phone system with Grasshopper. See how it works at grasshopper.com.
When you're hiring, you don't want to sort through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Diane is hired with Indeed.
It just gives me so many more qualified applicants to choose from.
Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions. Then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
Dance to your own beat this Valentine's Day. Purchase $699 or more at Helzberg Diamonds and get a free Mega Blast waterproof speaker plus power-up charger with built-in Amazon Alexa. A $339.98 value. Helzberg quality, style, and selection make it easy to find that perfect something. And this incredible speaker makes it a blast. So hurry into Helzberg Diamonds and dance out with this unbeatable offer while supplies last.
The revolving door continues in year 2 of the Trump White House.
I'm Peter King.
The level of turnover is off the charts.
34%, says Brookings Institution's senior fellow Catherine Dunn-Tempest. She tells KNX Radio they include what she calls Tier 1 positions, jobs like press secretary, national security advisor, chief of staff.
And of those 12, Donald Trump has lost 7 individuals.
That 34% overall turnover is twice the rate for the first Reagan administration, the previous record holder. Complicating matters, the White House's inability to get security clearance for some of its top staff members. Peter King, CBS News.
First a wedding cake, now T-shirts. Kentucky's GOP governor is urging the state's highest court to rule in favor of the company that refused to print T-shirts for a gay rights festival because of the owner's Christian beliefs. The Lexington Human Rights Commission ruled the company violated the city law banning discrimination based on sexual orientation. Pam Coulter, CBS News.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. Chattanooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Man was driving down Lincoln Road and Highway 27 when he says a driver rammed him from behind multiple times. He called 911 and deputies rushed to the area. They pulled them both over and took the man into custody, who they say was drunk. Deputies say nobody was hurt, but photos show the front of the man's car with the radiator exposed and the front grille buckled in. New details about a crash from Sunday. An Amish buggy and an ATV collided, injuring 8 people, including several children, according to the Sequatchie County Sheriff's Office. Initial reports say the ATV crashed into that horse-drawn buggy at about 6:30 p.m. Sequatchie County Sheriff confirmed several children were hurt. After shooting on South Seminole, the police found their suspect in a wrecked car several blocks away, suffering a head injury. He was taken to the hospital. Cops say they found a revolver and a bloody T-shirt in the back seat. The victim expected to survive. Russell Stroud, Radio News, now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Sports Now. The Lookout Mountain Sports Hall of Fame is going to be adding 8 new members to its class of 2018, which will be honored on Sunday, May 6th at 3 o'clock at the Lookout Mountain School Gym. Tennis is going to be represented by Kathy Clark-Bowles, All-American Elizabeth Donovan, and national champions Pam Gary and Jack Webb. Caroline Hawkins-Bentley was an All-American in swimming, and Jack Van Dusen represents wrestling. Lee Dyer is an NFL official, and B.B. Brent goes in the sports media category. Hickson rose to a region NAT title with 8 champions. Signal Mountain, Cleveland, Baylor also winning regional wrestling titles on Saturday throughout the area. The Wildcats hosted the Region 2A and AA tournaments on Saturday and easily cruised to the team title with 264.5 points. All 14 Hickson individuals finished in the top 4 of their respective weight classes and earned a spot in next week's traditional state tournament, which begins for Class A and AA teams on Friday. Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Sports Now.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair to partly cloudy skies continue through your nighttime. Cold overnight, lows mid and upper 20s. Now for your Wednesday, look for some sunshine with a breeze out of the north of like cold highs. Still around 40 with more mainly dry and cold weather expected through Friday. Celebrate the new year with Dixieland fireworks. Locally owned with the largest selection around. A Black Hat dealer with the lowest prices in Dixieland fireworks just off 575 on Ringgold Road, East Ridge. And I'm Warren 12, Chief Meteorologist, Patrick Poor.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. Nooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. News Talk Nooga Radio.
You're listening to all new Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose is the show. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate each and every one of you. I just filled in for Sam Jordan, doing double duty. Sam Jordan is in Nashville at Bridgestone Arena covering the Nashville Predators. About to drop us a line here. I did see him trying to call. So whenever he calls in, I'll interrupt, I don't know, whatever it is that I'm doing to get that update for you. But I have a lot to talk about for this show. It's always hard. It's always hard doing the two shows. Because usually I just prepare for me, and now I've got to prepare for him and for me. And I don't know. It's tough. But I got some stuff, right? And so one of the things that I want to talk about, because it's one of the funniest things that I think I've ever seen in my life, and I encountered it over the break. But I thought, man, you're a basketball fan, you'll probably like this because this is the time of year that we're in now. We're in basketball times. All the football is gone until the draft combine, basically. But what I wanted to talk about is what the Warriors did yesterday. Because the Warriors did really, well, I don't know if it was a cool thing, but it was interesting, right? Like it was, to me, it was funny and odd, but it's a very Steve Kerr thing to do. The Warriors were losing to the Suns early in the first quarter, 11-8, and Steve Kerr did something really interesting, which is that he stopped coaching. He took the dry erase board that he draws the plays up on, and he turned around and he handed it to Andre Iguodala, and the players were running the show. He let the players coach themselves that game. Didn't offer any input, didn't help them out, and the Warriors went on to win that game. Now, the Suns are upset about this. Specifically, Troy Daniels, one of the Suns' guards, is upset because he thought of it as a gimmick that was to make the team look bad, essentially. He wasn't pleased about it at all. Here he says, or Will Barton says, I'm going to be the first to say it. They've got to send the whole Phoenix team to the G League for that, right? Like, because he's just, man, your team got destroyed, right? This is the thing that I find to be absolutely hilarious about this, is that Troy Daniels got upset about the fact that the Warriors were coaching themselves. And it does look like one of those things where you're trying to show the other team up. But here's the thing. The Warriors have won, at this point, 2 out of their last 3 NBA Finals appearances. They've gone to 3 finals in a row. The season starts to get long when you go to finals after finals after finals. It's a grind. It's hard to keep people focused in the middle of the season. You've got to shake stuff up. Steve Kerr with the massive shakeup. Absolutely needed, I thought, in that moment, because the Warriors didn't look engaged early in that game at all. They needed the shakeup. So Steve Kerr did something crazy, right? And something that he can afford to do because his job is as safe as any job in sports at this point. Steve Kerr's job, he's not losing his job over this. So why not do it? Why not see if the players can coach themselves? If you can get them to re-engage in the concept of playing basketball, even though it's a grind, even though you've got the entire 82-game season and then the playoffs and then the finals, you've got to try and find ways to keep guys engaged. And I thought that was an absolutely smart thing for him to do. That's the first point about this. The second thing is the Suns are complaining. They got destroyed. Right, like just leveled. This is not one of those things where the game was close and they were just trying to show off and show you up. You don't get to complain about what the other team is doing when you lose by 40. 40. They beat them 129-89. The Phoenix Suns are complaining that the Warriors were coaching themselves and they lost by 40. That is the single most hilarious thing I've ever seen. When you talk about wrong priorities, the Phoenix Suns have lost multiple double-digit games. I believe 26 double-digit losses. They're the first team in the NBA to 40 losses. They are by far the worst team in the league. They have no heart and passion. But this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous that they have found something to complain about. How about, I got something that the Phoenix Suns can complain about. They might need to walk to a mirror and look in it, though. This is, I mean, I've never seen anything like this before in my whole life. Yes, you are a joke today. Yes, you are a laughingstock today. You absolutely deserve it and earn every single second of it. Yes. That's one of those things that, you know, I used to have a PlayStation growing up, right? Kids now have a PlayStation 4 growing up. I just had a PlayStation, no number, the first one. And I'd be playing racing games with my brother. Now, I'm bad at racing games, right? If it's not Mario Kart, I really can't do it. That's the only one I'm good at. Bad at racing games. So you're playing the racing game, and you're just getting your face caved in, losing it in Need for Speed or Gran Turismo or whatever the game is. And what's the first thing out of your mouth when you're a kid? The game's cheating, right? Couldn't possibly be you. It couldn't possibly be that you're the problem. The game's cheating. Right. The game's cheating. This is what it feels like when the Suns are saying this. That, oh, the Warriors were trying to show us up. Well, it worked. Like, if you don't want to be embarrassed, stop them from scoring, play a little defense, score some points yourself. Any of those things would have helped. Instead, what we got was Phoenix Suns whining and complaining. That's what we got. To me, it reminds me of a few years ago when Cam used to dab every time he scored a touchdown. You know, you remember the dab. Cam used to do that every time he scored a touchdown. Teams would get mad at him for doing it. And I mean, sure, I guess it's upsetting when you're losing to have someone just dab on you. But if you really didn't want to see it, you could have stopped him from scoring. He only dabs when he's the one that scores. If one of his teammates score, then no, there is none. It's just him. If you really wanted to not see it that bad, why you try to play in some defense? I feel like your priorities are wrong there. When you get blown out by 40, the fact that the other team has decided that their coach is not involved in this game is really not your problem. And when they do that and you manage to lose by 40, you're just a bad basketball team. And maybe that's the problem. It's just so silly. So yeah, Chris Webber and company on NBA TV took them apart. But here's what Daniels had to say about it. He said it's disrespectful. I don't think it's hard to coach those guys, though. So I think anybody can do it. Which, by the way, sure, a lot of people could do it, but you know, again, if you're the opposition, if you're the opposite team, what are you saying about yourself? What are you saying about yourself? I don't think anybody can do it. Just anybody can do it. Mark Jackson didn't have Kevin Durant, but Mark Jackson had Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and didn't sniff an NBA Western Conference Finals, much less an NBA Finals. So it's not just anybody. But worry about yourself, man. That's pretty much what it is. You got to worry about you. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose. Sam Jordan is in Nashville. He's going to lend us an update, I imagine, either at the end of this segment or at the beginning of the next segment, one of the two. But Paul Pierce had his NBA, his Celtics jersey specifically, at his NBA jersey retirement ceremony in Boston. Paul Pierce, one of the great NBA players of all time and one of the great Boston Celtics of all time, and an NBA champion. And the story here is not really that his jersey got retired, because, I mean, I don't know what else you say about it. okay, they put his jersey up in the rafters. Like, it's cool, but unless it happens to your city, I don't see the point of discussing it, really. The only jersey retirement that was ever vaguely interesting to me was Kobe Bryant's, in large part because Kobe wore 2 numbers with the Lakers, and Kobe has both of his jerseys retired in the rafters because, of course, he did, because he's Kobe, and Kobe is the most self-aggrandizing human being that ever walked this earth, and only he would dream of doing that. That to me is an interesting story just in and of itself. But Paul Pierce only wore 1 number with the Celtics and only had his 1 jersey retired in the rafters like a normal person. And Paul Pierce has had beef with Ray Allen, right? Like, Ray Allen was a Boston Celtic. He was part of the big 3 there that won an NBA title. They were able to get past LeBron at that stage in LeBron's career. And Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett were the big 3. And then they also had Rondo on that team. And that was a great team, right? I remember that team and how well and how absolutely proficient they played on both sides of the ball. I mean, that to me is one of those teams that you watch and you're like, this is a great team. This is not a team with great individual guys. This is a great team. And Ray Allen left unceremoniously to join LeBron later in Miami. And they haven't been on good terms ever since. But Ray Allen put out a piece basically saying that him and Paul Pierce had patched all of their bridges. They were interested in building bridges, not putting up walls, I believe is what the quote was, which is a nice flowery thing to say. But he's absolutely right. And I always thought that got blown out of proportion. And I also thought that it was largely unimportant to the nature of the NBA. And I say that because I don't think the Celtics were going to win another one. You could say that they were, and you could call Ray Allen a traitor, and a lot of the guys were upset that Ray Allen didn't let them know that he decided to join the Miami Heat before he joined the Miami Heat. And sure, I mean, there is a certain level of animosity that's always going to come there when you don't communicate with your friends on big life decisions that also include your friends. Like, that'll always come up. But I always thought that the Celtics were getting old at that point, and I thought that's why Ray Allen left. Because the writing was on the wall for that team. They were not going to be capable of beating LeBron James for very much longer in the future. And Ray Allen was the guy that wanted to get rings, right? Like, it feels very good to be a champion, to have someone say that you are the best in the world at the thing that you do. There's no better feeling in this life. It's a feeling that if you have a dream or if you have a goal, and you're chasing it, that's the feeling you're chasing. And I know this, because I've always wanted to be in radio, and I want to go further into radio. This is a dream that I have. It's in my chest, and I know that that's the feeling that I'm chasing. Ray Allen got to taste that a couple of times. You don't really just stop. So I always thought he was going to leave, and when he left and went to Miami, and look, and that did turn out to be important, because I don't think that Miami wins that one title over San Antonio, over the Spurs, without Ray Allen and his timely fourth quarter shooting. But the fact that he left Boston, that to me, I thought the writing was on the wall for that one. And you could try and bring Ray Allen back and see what you've had, but Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen were starting to look old then. Right? I don't know how much longer that run had, and I thought LeBron James was starting to find himself at that point. I just don't know that you could have guaranteed that. So I always thought that got blown out of proportion, and I think that time has a way of healing a lot of these things, right? Sometimes it doesn't. You've got the Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas, Isaiah Thomas beef, I guess, of the 80s, that Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas never liked each other. The Bad Boys Pistons got beaten by the Bulls and just walked off the court, refused to shake hands or anything. And Michael Jordan took that very personally. Michael Jordan never forgave Isaiah Thomas. And from what I understand, Michael Jordan still hasn't forgiven Isaiah Thomas. So that's an incredible piece of information right there. It's like sometimes this stuff does not get ironed over. But largely, and especially when guys were teammates, this stuff does get ironed over, right? Like it does work itself out in a lot of ways. You just got to let it happen. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose here on all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com. So I talked a little bit about this yesterday. Yu Darvish is a Cubby, right? So the Cubs are gambling on Yu Darvish and the talent that Yu Darvish had when he was with the Texas Rangers, right? Because Yu Darvish, since being traded from the Rangers, has not been any good, right? My man's been garbage. And I like Yu Darvish a lot. When Yu Darvish was really good, that was appointment television right there. I'd sit down and watch Yu Darvish pitch. Yu Darvish is with the Cubs. And this is important to you if you are a Braves fan, you're a fan of the Bravos, you need to know exactly what's happening here because the Cubs have either gotten exponentially better or they may have ruined themselves because they didn't just get Yu Darvish, who has the potential to be either one of the worst pitchers in the league or the best pitcher in the league. Like, there's really not a middle there. Like, it's not like, oh, yeah, Yu Darvish, he's been average. He played either like trash or like one of the top 3 pitchers in baseball. And I don't know why that is. But the Cubs have given Yu Darvish a 6-year, $126 million deal. Have mercy. I don't understand. That's a gamble. That is a massive gamble. If you are the Cubs, because I only give $126 million to a guy, and I don't have $126 million to give, so don't call me. But if I did have $126 million to give to somebody, right, I better know your money. I better absolutely believe that you are it. And I can't say that about Yu Darvish. I don't 100% believe that Yu Darvish is it. I 50% believe it. I think that there's as good a chance that Yu Darvish turns out to be a fantastic pitcher as he turns out to be a logjam that's wasting all your money. That could go either way. I am not as certain of Yu Darvish. Again, when he was at the top of his game, it was hard to name 3 guys better than him. Right? Because when he was at the top of his game, I know Verlander was better. Kershaw's always better. Those were the only 2 guys I could think of. Who else was better than Yu Darvish when Yu Darvish was pitching lights out 2 or 3 years ago? I can't think of anybody, but he hasn't been good. And when a guy hasn't been good for as long and as inconsistently as Yu Darvish has been, you don't write that guy a $126 million check, of which I'm pretty sure it's almost all guaranteed money. Right? It's not an incentive-ridden check. It's almost all guaranteed. Like, you're crazy. You're crazy. Because the Dodgers traded for Yu Darvish in the hope that Yu Darvish would bolster the rotation, and he was okay. I certainly didn't see $126 million in the pitching that I saw from Yu Darvish after he became a Dodger. Did you? And now he's in the division with the Braves and the Nationals. And I think that the Braves have got some catching up to do. But they're building a team and they're building a squad. And for the last 2 or 3 years, they've had one of the best farm teams or farm systems in baseball. I just think that the Braves are due for a come up. And the question is, could the Braves ascend to be second in the National League East? Because I don't see any reason why not. I think Washington is the best team. But even they have leveled out and stagnated. I really don't know how much better the Nationals can get. I'm pretty sure that they've peaked. The Braves have a ton of potential. But you definitely have a chance to pass the Cubs here. Because the Cubs plunked down $126 million on Yu Darvish. It's mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And I don't know. There's no fix for this. And there's no fix for this. But I don't know if the Cubs are trying to prove that they have lots of money to try and sign free agents. I'm not sure what the point is. All I know is this. If you are Yu Darvish's agent, could you be my agent also? I'd like you to get me the deal that you got for him. or anything approaching that, because that is fantastic. That is absolutely amazing. That he got a guy who, for the last year and a half, has been roughly an average to below average pitcher, $126 million, and 6 guaranteed years of work. Right now, maybe Yu Darvish goes out there and he pans out, and he plays well, and he looks like absolutely everything we thought he could look like. Maybe he does, you know, but that's a risk. I take risks all the time in life. I tend not to take $126 million risks. Right? I've never had an employee, but if I did, you understand how great you'd have to be? Like, I would give Justin Verlander that money in his prime. I'm giving that money to you, Darvish. Are you insane? You're listening to all new Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose is the show. I was right about LeVar Ball, y'all. I was right about LeVar.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. Chattanooga, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
New details about a crash from Sunday. An Amish buggy and an ATV collided, injuring 8 people, including several children, according to the Sequatchie County Sheriff's Office. Initial reports say the ATV crashed into that horse-drawn buggy at about 6:30 p.m. Sequatchie County Sheriff confirmed several children were hurt. After shooting on South Seminole, the police found their suspect in a wrecked car several blocks away, suffering a head injury. He was taken to the hospital. Cops say they found a revolver and a bloody T-shirt in the back seat. The victim expected to survive. A man was driving down Leggett Road and Highway 27 when he says the driver rammed him from behind multiple times. He called 911 and deputies rushed to the area. They pulled them both over and took the man into custody, who they say was drunk. The deputies say nobody was hurt, but photos show the front of the man's car with the radiator exposed and the front grille buckled in. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Cross and South, weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Oh man, rush. I've got to get stuff for the party. Where can I go? It's going to give me a wide selection of beer, wines, and spirits. Oh, I got it. I'll go to Harry's Wine and Spirits, Signal Mountain. Maybe East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd. I could go to Riley's Wines and Spirits in Hickson. Wow, look at the huge selection in here. Look at these great prices. Amazing. Oh yeah, I'm going to find something for my lady too. I'm going to make this party a success.
Make your party a success when you stop in at Harry's Wine and Spirits in Signal Mountain, East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd, and Riley's Wine and Spirits in Hickston. An automated nuclear missile defense system has suddenly entered into launch mode, and you are the only one who can stop it. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Your team has just been infected with a deadly virus. Your only hope? There, in an abandoned farmhouse. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Handcuffed in a maximum security prison. You have an hour to flee. Escape Experience Chattanooga. These escape scenarios and more at Chattanooga's best escape room game and team building platform. Call now. Slots are limited. Register online at escapeexperience.com/Chattanooga. Escape Experience Chattanooga. If your computer is running slow, if you have viruses, if someone called you asking to get into your computer, just say no. If a screen pops up on your computer saying your data is going to be deleted and you have to call this number, don't call it. You need to call Affordable Computers. You wouldn't invite a stranger to come into your house to look at all your books and records. So why would you invite someone to look at your records on your computer? With one wrong click of the mouse, you could be allowing access into your entire system. At Affordable Computers, we can stop them now. Don't be fooled by scammers and pop-ups that tell you you must call this number or your hard drive is going to be deleted. You need to call Affordable Computers. Call Affordable Computers now. Microsoft is never going to call you. Microsoft is never going to ask you to call them. If you see that on your screen, you are being scammed. Stop and call Affordable Computers. 423-499-1975. That's 423-499-1975. In Fort Oglethorpe, call 706-858-5888. That's 706-858-5888. Affordable Computers.
95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM.
Expect fair to partly cloudy skies to continue through your nighttime. Cold overnight, lows mid and upper 20s. Now for your Wednesday, look for some sunshine with a breeze out of the north, though. Like cold highs up around 40 with more mainly dry and cold weather expected through Friday. Celebrate the new year with Dixieland fireworks. Locally owned with the largest selection around. A Black Hat dealer with the lowest prices in Dixie. Dixieland fireworks just off 575 on Ringgold Road, East Ridge. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Pat to report.
Broadcasting live to over 1 million souls in Chattanooga, the Tennessee Valley, and beyond on frequency modulation 92.7. Sean Hannity, 25,000 watts on digital FM 95.3 HD4. CBS Radio News. NASCAR, Bloomberg Markets, David Tulis, streaming strong at NoogaRadio.com. Live on YouTube and Facebook. Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7. Chattanooga Radio.
You're listening to all new Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose. The Predators are playing the Blues tonight in Nashville at Bridgestone Arena, and our very own Sam Jordan is there with an update. Sam, how's the game?
Well, the game just got really interesting. The St. Louis Blues just scored on a goal, I believe, by Braden Chen. With 4:42 remaining here in the first period, the Blues up with a 1-0 lead. But really, that's not been the focus of the game. Both goalies, Taylor Renee for the Preds and Carter Hutton for the Blues, have played really outstanding. There's been a lot of shots on goal. The Preds have really been knocking at the door, just couldn't get across the threshold there and getting that first goal. But right now, the Blues are leading 1-0. With 4.5 minutes to go here in the first period. Live from Bridgestone Arena, Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM, 95.3 FM, HD4. I'm Sam Jordan reporting now back to the Clutch with Keon Rose.
Thank you, Sam. It's been wild. Okay, so yeah, Sam's out there. He's covering the game for us. He'll have all of that tomorrow. He'll let you know how the game was, who won the game. It's an important game. The Predators are third in the standings. The Blues are fourth. The Predators trying to create some distance as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. The Predators have been playing incredibly good hockey. And so that's going to be the focus of tomorrow's show on Sport Talk with Sam Jordan. That's my guess. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose here on 92.7 FM. I'm trying to figure out when I'm right about stuff, because I have been described as off-putting, and I have been told that I come across as smug. Smug is the word that got used. I am trying to figure out how humble I should be when I am right. When I told y'all stuff, and then you didn't believe me, and then I was right. Because I don't understand why I can't turn the dial up to 125% smug. Absolutely smug. More smug than anyone you've ever met. Why can't I do that? Why can't I do that when I am right? Like fundamentally correct. I have no one's given me a good reason why I can't do that. So I will continue down the path of smugness. Absolutely. Because I told you LeVar Ball was bad news for Lonzo. I said it. I said this on Twitter, and what did all the people on Twitter come at me and say? Oh, well, he's not going to control Lonzo's life. Why would that be a problem for Lonzo Ball and the Lakers? I mean, whose dad controls their life? Lonzo's dad controls his life. It's obvious. His dad tells him what to do, where to go, how to do it. What are you talking about? It's obvious that his dad controls his life. And so now, LeVar Ball, the mastermind that he is, planner supreme, has a new plan. He wants all three of his sons to be on an NBA team And he doesn't care if that does not include the Los Angeles Lakers, who I should point out have so much cap space, it is alarming, right? The Lakers could literally this summer and also realistically this summer make off with LeBron James and Paul George as starting players on their squad. Easily. That's how much cap space they have. They have 2 max cap spots available. Okay, this is a team with a bright future. They are not going to mortgage their future so that LeVar Ball can live out his infantile dream of having all 3 of his children play on one team. And it is an infantile dream. It is a kid's dream. When I was a kid, let's go back to the PlayStation. I had NBA Live 2000 on the PlayStation. And me and my brother, we would make ourselves in the game and we'd play on the same team and we'd dominate the NBA because obviously we'd made ourselves 6'6" and 250 pounds. Like if you got the opportunity to make yourself in a video game, you just make LeBron basically with your name. So that's what we did. And it was great. It was absolute fun. But that's a dream. That's not real life. That doesn't happen. And when it does happen, it's rare. And usually one of the brothers isn't good. Right? I think the last time this happened, we had Markieff and Marcus Morris with the Phoenix Suns. But that's different, though, because the Suns drafted Markieff and then they signed Marcus. And then tried to keep them together or promised to keep them together before, trading them separate ways. But that doesn't happen often. And that certainly can't be your dream. You can't design that into happening. And also, can I just point out that the basketball team that had Lonzo Ball, LaMelo Ball, and LiAngelo Ball, that would be a bad basketball team. It's not like LiAngelo Ball was out there killing it in the brief stint that he had as a UCLA basketball player. And I was online. I was talking to a guy from Turkey the other day because that's where LiAngelo and LaMelo are playing. Yeah, I heard they're not great. We've seen highlights of them being dominant because they have the skills. But neither of those guys play defense, and LiAngelo is not as good a scorer as either of his brothers. Yeah, LeVar Ball wants all 3 of his sons to play on the same team, and he said that Lonzo will not re-sign with the Lakers. Will not. He would like all 3 of his sons to play for the Lakers, but if Lonzo is not able to play with his brothers, he will not re-sign with the Lakers. And here's LeVar Ball dictating the terms of Lonzo's life again. And it does make things complicated for the Lakers, because if the Lakers actually like the growth and development of Lonzo, they might end up having to trade Lonzo out of the belief that he's not going to come back because his dad wants all 3 of his boys to play on the same team like some kind of 6th grade parent. I don't know what happens in your life to cause you to grow up and be LeVar Ball. But whatever it is that makes that happen, I don't want that to happen to anybody that I actually like. That is insane. He is insane. This plan that he has is insane. Right? And this is, by the way, aside from all the other awful stuff that LeVar Ball is about. Like he's got the one business that has got a failing grade from the Better Business Bureau. The Better Business Bureau gives a passing grade to like everybody. As if your business provides the service that you say that it provides, sort of, you could get an A+ from the Better Business Bureau. Right? You've got companies that are actual pyramid schemes, multi-level marketing companies that have an A+ from the Better Business Bureau. LeVar Ball's company that he sells his shoes from No, they don't. And people have complained that they've ordered the shoes and they've never gotten the shoes, that they've ordered the shoes and they've gotten a different brand of shoe than LeVar's own brand of shoe. How is that possible? LeVar Ball has a brand of shoe. The Big Baller brand of shoe, the Triple Bs. If you buy the shoe and wind up with anything but that, that's a failure. People have complained that they've got the wrong size of shoe. Nothing. Can't reach back, can't get a refund. This is insane. He is insane. The situation surrounding everything is insane. And I told you it was going to ruin stuff for Lonzo Ball in his NBA career. I told you. And people laughed at me and said that I was wrong. And I am not coming in here with any humility whatsoever. Zero. Because I was right. Now, you're the Lakers. You've got a way to get out of this, and it's called having very deep pockets and lots of money and an unholy amount of cap space. Like, I don't think that the Lakers need to be worried about this in any particular kind of way. But it does interfere with their long-term plans somewhat. Absolutely. It completely does. I read that and I thought, wow, how far has this actually gone? All right, and you had people like Colin Cowherd going, oh, well, the entertainment value for the NBA and the entertainment value for the Lakers, it's going to be so high that it'll offset how crazy he is. Really? Has it now? Because I haven't seen that. I don't know if there's anything that can offset how crazy LeVar Ball is. What exactly? Right? What can offset that? You tell me, because I don't know. I don't have the wherewithal for that. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com. Clutch with Keanu Rose here on 92.7 FM. One thing that I think is fascinating, though, and I think it's fascinating because it goes back to that story we were talking about earlier, where the Warriors got to coach their own team, and they ended up blowing out the Suns by 40 because Steve Kerr wants to keep his team engaged. You play long NBA seasons. It's hard to get bored. It's easy to get bored. It's hard to stay focused. And he did that to keep his team engaged, which it worked, by the way, right? Like, if they lost, well, then there's something to criticize. But they didn't lose. They won by 40. And the Suns complained about it. But people were wondering, the superpower of the East, would the Cleveland Cavaliers do the same thing? They asked Tyronn Lue this, and Tyronn Lue said no. His players aren't going to coach. His response, by the way, was, I wouldn't do that. They already said LeBron's coaching the team anyway. So if I give him the clipboard, they're really going to say that. So nah, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. Tyronn Lue is the only guy in the league where his position as coach is not necessarily respected as coach. He's sort of like the face of a shadow regime, which LeBron James is actually the coach. And I think that's ridiculous. Tyronn Lue actually does coach that basketball team, right? In large part because there have been large bouts of incompetence that can only happen if Tyronn Lue, who, to his eternal credit, has done a good job, but has been coaching for basically, 2.5 years now? Tyronn Lue's not an old, long-time coach. He doesn't have years and years and years of experience. Like, there's late-game timeout stuff that doesn't happen, I think, if LeBron James actually is coaching the team. Like, no, Tyronn Lue's not letting anybody coach the team. For what? So that we can have rumors, more rumors? Because people think that LeBron James runs the Cleveland Cavaliers organization. And he does, in a way. LeBron James runs the Cavaliers organization in as much as he is the most important asset of that team, and he's got all the leverage. He signs 1-year deals every year. He makes them acquiesce to him. If they don't make him happy, he's gone. So in that way, LeBron James runs the Cavs. But people treat LeBron James like he's the coach and he's the GM and like he should be the owner, which he probably should be the owner. Dan Gilbert is... I hate Dan Gilbert. So it doesn't matter. LeBron James probably should be the owner. But he's not the owner. And he's not the coach. And he's not the GM, right? LeBron James doesn't make personnel moves. LeBron James doesn't go into the GM's office and then try and say, I need you to trade for this guy and that guy and this guy. I think the money's going to work out. I was using ESPN's trade machine and I matched up the contracts. I actually think that this trade makes a lot of sense. So you should go ahead and make these calls. Like LeBron James is not out there actually putting the team together. That is such a silly mindset that people have, but it's simple. And so you can run with it. LeBron James is also not coaching the team because coaching the team comes with a lot of responsibilities than just standing on the sidelines and telling people what to do. And LeBron James doesn't want those responsibilities. LeBron James just wants to play basketball and play basketball in such a way that he is the greatest part of the reason why you are winning, which he does very frequently and usually very easily. But every now and then, LeBron James needs to be a puppet master. He needs to be passive aggressive to the media. He does all the weird Machiavellian stuff that you have heard about. Like that, that is real. But then, the stuff that isn't his job, that's not real. Why would LeBron James want to coach the basketball team actually? Now, there have been periods in Cavalier history where LeBron James was coaching the basketball team. For instance, when David Blatt was the coach, and we know LeBron hated David Blatt, and then David Blatt would try and call a play on the sideline, and LeBron would ignore it, call a different play on the floor, and then David Blatt would call the play that LeBron called so that he didn't look like an incompetent idiot, which he wasn't, but he was made to look that way because LeBron James was just flat out ignoring him. At that point, LeBron James probably was the coach. But you're Tyronn Lue. You saw what happened to David Blatt when his authority got entirely undermined. David Blatt lost that team in no time flat. And by the way, I hope David Blatt gets another opportunity in the NBA. That was so unfair what happened to David Blatt. David Blatt, unfortunately, wound up coaching LeBron James when he was not prepared to coach LeBron James. And we don't know how good of an NBA coach David Blatt would have been. He sure won a lot with LeBron. Like David Blatt seems to me to be a good NBA coach. Right now, and now he's back in Europe coaching. He never got a fair NBA shake. And he never signed up for the team that he got. When David Blatt came to coach the Cleveland Cavaliers, his team included Anthony Bennett, maybe not even in the league. I don't know where Anthony Bennett is. I haven't seen Anthony Bennett. Can somebody put Anthony Bennett's face on a milk carton so we can find Anthony Bennett? I don't know where Anthony Bennett is. My man just disappeared. But Anthony Bennett was on that team. This team's not even the same team. Like LeBron was not on the team when David Blatt got there. They made a bunch of moves. He was going to have Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins was on the team. Right? And I don't know what Andrew Wiggins would have become if he was a Cleveland Cavalier. But they had to get Wiggins out of there. I don't believe Kevin Love was on the team when Cleveland got him. So David Blatt came in, showed up, and coached a very different team than the team he was hired to coach. And I understand how this happens. Look, if LeBron is available and you can get LeBron and LeBron actually wants to play for you, you just get him, right? He may ruin your whole life. He may be passive aggressive. He may warp your locker room, but you just get him because he's still the best player in basketball, right? He hasn't been dethroned yet. But David Blatt didn't sign up for that team at all. And so when he got run out of there because LeBron just didn't like him, right? That was very unfair. And the assistant head coach at the time was Tyronn Lue. And Tyronn Lue has seen firsthand what happens when LeBron James doesn't like you. And Tyronn Lue has seen what happens firsthand when it looks like you're not the actual coach around LeBron James. And there is no way that Tyronn Lue would allow that to happen, not even as a joke and not even as some kind of training exercise to keep his team engaged. His team is a different team. His team needs to see him with all the authority, because if you lose the authority on a team that's got LeBron on it, you're done. You're out the door. Ask David Blatt. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on all new Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Well, of course not. Why would you put yourself in such a position? I'm looking forward to the All-Star game, though. I like this format for basketball because that's pretty much how basketball works when you go play at the Y, right? You pick players. Someone gets to be a captain, and you get a second captain, and then people pick players. And to see that, and it makes you competitive. When people pick you, when someone picks you, you want to win for the team you got picked for. Makes you competitive. And that's the problem that we have in all All-Star games, is that they're not competitive. So I'd love to see a competitive All-Star game for once. Very much looking forward to it in this format. No, I don't think that Kevin Durant and Steph Curry are going to kiss before the game. We're going to have some out-of-control fan fiction if you keep going down that road, Las Vegas sports books. Just absolutely ridiculous. Clutch with Keon Rose, all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you in 24 hours. And special thanks to Sam Jordan for taking some time away from the game to let us know how it was going. He'll fill you in on all the details with the Preds tomorrow. Alex Jones, he's next.
Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott powers around the outside. Michael McDowell pops the right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocks him off too. Meanwhile, Chase out.